A fresh political shock has emerged in KwaZulu-Natal, where internal party discipline has now collided with broader power struggles shaping the province's future, after the National Freedom Party took the decisive step of expelling its only member of the provincial legislature, Mbali Shinga, in a move that highlights not only internal fractures within smaller parties, but also the growing intensity of political realignment ahead of the next electoral cycle. The decision, confirmed by the party's national leadership, follows a disciplinary process that found Shinga guilty of gross misconduct, with the central issue being her refusal to follow a direct party instruction regarding a critical vote in the KwaZulu-Natal legislature, specifically her failure to support a motion of no confidence backed by the Umkhonto we Sizwe party against Premier Thamsanqa Ntuli, a moment that has now become a defining flashpoint in the province's evolving political dynamics. This was not a minor disagreement or a procedural misstep, but rather a direct act of defiance against party leadership, and in South Africa's proportional representation system, where political parties rely heavily on strict discipline to maintain cohesion and influence, such defiance is often treated as a serious breach that threatens not only internal order, but also the party's broader strategic positioning in a highly competitive environment. What makes this development particularly significant is that Mbali Shinga was not just any member of the party, but its sole representative in the KwaZulu-Natal legislature, meaning her expulsion effectively removes the NFP's direct legislative presence in one of the country's most politically contested provinces, a consequence that underscores the high stakes involved in the decision and raises questions about whether the party has prioritized internal control over political survival. At the center of the controversy is the motion of no confidence itself, which was backed by the Umkhonto we Sizwe party, a rapidly emerging political force that has been reshaping alliances and challenging established parties in KwaZulu-Natal. And Shinga's refusal to support that motion suggests either a strategic disagreement with her party's direction or a deeper alignment with alternative political interests, both of which would have been seen by the NFP leadership as unacceptable within the framework of party discipline. The response from the party, articulated by Secretary-General Sunset Ksaba, was swift and uncompromising, reflecting a leadership determined to send a clear message that insubordination will not be tolerated, particularly at a time when smaller parties, like the NFP, are under pressure to remain relevant in an increasingly fragmented political landscape, where every vote, every seat, and every alliance carries significant weight. However, this decision also exposes the underlying vulnerabilities within the NFP itself, a party that has struggled in recent years to maintain its influence and cohesion after the death of its founder, and which now faces the additional challenge of managing internal dissent while competing against stronger and more organized political rivals such as the Inkatha Freedom Party and the ANC, both of which continue to dominate the province's political terrain. From a broader perspective, the expulsion of Mbali Shinga reflects a growing trend in South African politics, where internal party conflicts are increasingly spilling out into the public domain, often driven by deeper ideological differences, leadership disputes, and strategic disagreements about how to navigate a rapidly changing political environment, particularly in provinces like KwaZulu-Natal, where historical loyalties are being tested by new political movements and shifting voter expectations. There is also a strategic dimension to consider, because by enforcing strict discipline, the NFP may be attempting to present itself as a unified and decisive organization capable of making tough decisions, a posture that could appeal to voters seeking clarity and stability, but which also carries the risk of alienating supporters who may view the expulsion as heavy-handed or indicative of deeper internal problems. At the same time, Shinga's removal raises important questions about representation and accountability, particularly for voters who supported the NFP in the expectation that their interests would be represented in the provincial legislature, and who now find themselves effectively without a direct voice following the party's decision, a situation that could have implications for voter confidence and future electoral support. The timing of this development is also critical, as it comes against the backdrop of intensifying political competition in KwaZulu-Natal, where parties are already positioning themselves ahead of the 2026 local government elections, and where internal stability is likely to play a key role in determining which parties are able to capitalize on shifting voter sentiment and which may struggle to maintain their footing. Ultimately, the expulsion of Mbali Shinga is more than an internal disciplinary matter. It is a reflection of the pressures facing smaller political parties in South Africa's evolving political landscape, where the need for unity and discipline must be balanced against the realities of individual agency and political diversity, a balance that is becoming increasingly difficult to maintain as competition intensifies and the stakes continue to rise. As the situation develops, attention will likely turn to how both the NFP and Shinga respond to this turning point, whether through legal challenges, political realignment, or further public engagement, and what this will mean for the broader dynamics within KwaZulu-Natal, a province that remains central to the country's political future, and where every shift, no matter how small it may appear, has the potential to influence the larger national picture.